I'd now like to introduce Cécile and Youssou to talk to us about basically what's behind the Forbidden, where you're from, what Forbidden Stories is, so what's behind the Bruno and Dom project, and what we can expect from it. And I will spotlight you, and I've made you co-host if you need to share anything. And Ed's visually impaired, so if you're going to be putting anything on screen, you need to speak the words as well.
Okay, so first we wanted to thank you a lot for inviting us today. It's now 1 year we have worked on this project, and it's a real honor to be among all of you. I also wanted to share my warmest thoughts with everyone here who knew Dom or Bruno or their sibling, their family, or their loved one, because I know it must be a hard day today for most of you, and feel free to tell us if at one point you don't feel good or anything. We will take care of that. Youssou and I, we are journalists, investigative journalists in this NGO based in Paris called Forbidden Stories. So Forbidden Stories exists since 5 years, and it's an NGO dedicated to pursue the work of journalists who have been murdered or put in jail because of or threatened because of their investigation. So we continue their work, continue their investigation, and we publish them in consortium, so with many media partners around the world. And so last year, when Dom and Bruno disappeared, our boss, the boss of the NGO, Laurent Richard, who knew Jonathan was from The Guardian from a previous project on journalists working environment who had been threatened, he just sent a message to Jonathan saying, we think about you and we are here for you if anything. And I mean, you remember what happened some days after their bodies were recovered, and very quick after that, Jonathan came to us and asked us if we would like to start a project pursuing the work of Dom and Bruno, and of course it's our core mission. So we organized this. We contacted many media in Brazil and outside Brazil because it was very important for us to have publication and media everywhere in Brazil and around the world, because as many of you said, what's happening now in the Amazon has consequences in Europe, and also it's due to what's happened in Europe. So it's really interconnected. So we create this project with 16 media partners. I will try to make the list. I will try to forget nobody. So we had, in Brazil, we had Amazonia Real, Folha de Sao Paulo, Abragi, Reporter Brasil, and TV Globo. And in the other countries, we had Paper Trail Media in Germany, NRC in Holland, The Guardian, of course, in the UK, Le Monde in France, Expresso in Portugal. I'm missing people because I can see.
You talked about Ojo Publico.
Ojo Publico in Peru.
The Bureau of Investigative Journalism, who also worked like The Guardian and Reporter Brazil, they worked on some investigation with them, so it was really important to have them.
We had their standard in Austria, and I'm pretty sure I forgot someone, but I will try. And OCCRP, of course, which is an international network of journalists, of investigative journalists. And yeah, the main idea of the project was to investigate the Amazon and who was pushing the Amazon to a tipping point, how was it happening, and who were the people suffering from this. Because when you read Dom's article, he's really interested in this indigenous issues, in the fires in the forest, in the meat industry, and what's going on in the illegal mining and all that, and all the consequences on the people on the ground. And everybody who knew Dom as a journalist, everybody could tell you he was really interested in people. He wanted to hear everyone. He wanted to hear the story from everyone, and to really say it to the world. And this is just what we try to do with all our partners and everybody involved in this project. And many of them actually knew him. So it was also very important for them to continue all that work. And so, yeah, we started this project at the end of June, beginning of July. We were more than 50 journalists working on that. And the project was published for 3 days, for the 1st of June, 2nd of June, 3rd of June. We had one first day on the 1 year after the killing. So we're speaking about the criminal investigation, the illegal fishing issues, which are really linked to the murder and to what happened to them, and also articles more on the Javari Valley, on what is this place, what's going on over there, is it still protected, is it protected enough, and so on. So this was the first day. And the second day was on the extractors, so really the people stealing from the Amazon. So we had this huge piece on the beef industry, stories on the companies stealing the Amazon. We had also articles on the illegal mining in the area. And the third day was another part about the extractors, but more on people. So we had a very interesting investigation on how part of the Amazon were sold on Facebook, protected part of the Amazon, on illegal logging, on a highway which is built right now in the heart of the Amazon. And so it was really organized also to match with the day Sonia Bridi, which is a very, very famous investigative journalist in Brazil, was broadcasting. She made a very long and very powerful documentary called Vale dos Isolados, about the Vale de Javari and what happened to Dom and Bruno, about the research over there, about when the engineers came back and found the cell phone of Bruno's cell phone 4 months after the murder, when the river water go down, and so it was really linked to that also, to have an impact in Brazil and to really show that, because this is the main idea behind Forbidden Stories. You can kill the messenger, you will not kill the message, and this is exactly what we did.
And yeah, I think you presented most of the stories we worked on. So we published, like, we work together in collaboration. We also, like, if you don't work on a story, we publish on each other's story, and we try to, like, publish on a little period to have all the attention on it. So that's why we chose to publish on a 3-day period all those different stories. And yeah, like as you said, there's this first story where we really wanted to focus on what happened to Dom and Bruno, that very last reporting trip they've done, and then the extractors, 2 days talking about the extractors. And we can send you links in the end, because we have, like, a link where we put all our partners' articles. Some of them are in English, some of them are in Portuguese, in Spanish also with Ojo Público, and in English, obviously you've read them in The Guardian. And yeah, about if I can, I'm going to go a little bit in details for every day. You can ask questions or we can discuss in the end. So the first day was about the Javari Valley, and about the fact that, well, Dom and Bruno were killed by a fisherman. So Cécile worked on a long piece explaining how it was getting more and more dangerous, how, like, also supposedly the drug traffic was being more and more important in the valley and threatening the indigenous people. At the documentary on Globo, there's also, you talk about the criminal investigation, and it's changing every day. You must have seen, like, was it today or yesterday?
This one. I mean, maybe in the night.
In the night,
Brazil, yeah.
In the night, I guess, or let's say in the night. And there's still, like, they're charging the mastermind for Colombia, who they believe is guilty of the crime. And this was for the first day. We really wanted to focus on that region. And then we talked about the extractors. So we've covered day 2, we've covered 2 main issues. One of them was the beef industry, because the beef industry is the one causing the most deforestation in the Amazon. The figures change, but you can say like something like 2/3 of deforestation is caused by the meat industry. And yeah, we wanted like it's interesting. Christine, if I'm not mistaken, your name. You talked about the supply chain, and then we wanted really to see how it's linked, like how the beef that causes deforestation ends up in our plate here in Europe, and that's why we had a European consortium, and it was interesting. For instance, like our partner NRC contacted a restaurant that said that that bought meat from a problematic slaughterhouse, and then they said we're no longer buying meat from them. So we had a kind of impact, and we were like happy of that, of having some impact, because usually the supply chain is something where you more easily have impact than when you talk of politics in a more global manner. And there was also there was the beef, and there was also the mining, which is, according to the analysis done by The Guardian, the most lucrative sector in the Amazon. And we have also reporting by Expresso and Amazonia Real, they've been along the Rio Madeira, because there's also mining on boats and on ferries. And there are many changes, like now it's illegal, but at some point during the Bolsonaro era, it was legal. And so they kind of went there, see the people working there. It was a whole industry, like you had even like everything. You have a cook, you have prostitution, then you have little villages in the water doing that illegal activity. And like it's not people that are that mostly poor people, just like when you interviewed for the fishing, you interviewed those fishermen that are doing the illegal things. So you have many poor people in that industry, though you have people like more bosses and those making more money, but you have to take into account that other are it's more of a like winning your life and trying to have some money and not being that poor. And yeah, that was for day 2, and then you have day 3 about the land grabbing, and also we talked about the indigenous people. We talked about that highway that is supposedly not yet decided. It's the interesting thing, because with Lula you have that question whether or not he's going to continue those past projects of building a highway and other projects, and yet, though it's supposed not to be decided yet, well, our partners Expresso and Amazon Real realized that it's being constructed little by little. Like they take the image of the fish bones, like you see it being constructed little by little, but we're not yet at the end of it. And about all politicians and people selling lands on Facebook and making money out of places that do not belong to them, and that are threatening the fate of the Amazon. And yeah, so this was for the 3 days investigation. Now we're going to discuss with our partners to see what's next, if they're going to continue on their side. Like sometimes some needs that we started, they want to continue them beyond the project, but more globally, they want to carry on that legacy of Bruno and Dom's work. And as our director said, also like we have to pursue, like on our side, like on the forbidden side, we will pursue that mission on environments, because well, first our future depends on it. Like the Amazon is very important, but more globally, the environment. There's this figure of Reporters Without Borders, 2 journalists killed every year because they reported on subjects linked to extractive industries. And yeah, that should be it for the future. And I know that Fiona, at some point you asked us what can you do, like each of us can do for that. As journalists, it's a bit difficult to tell you what to do, but I guess, yeah, first, very basic, but sharing the story so that everyone see Bruno and Dom's work. We talked about the supply chain and about our power as consumers, and more globally, like those talks that you have regularly are so important because it shows that you care about the issue, and that it's important to have a more profound, deep political change in the long term.
Wow, thank you so much. That's
you.
That's really, really helpful and a beautiful presentation. I want to make sure that we start the film just after past, because it's an hour and 27 minutes, and otherwise we won't get to join the Brazilians at Dead on 5 when that starts. But it would be great if people have questions. I mean, I've got one question, which is, so I think you've already answered it, actually. What can we expect? This isn't the end, is it? There's going to be more, but we don't know where it's going just as yet. Is that right? In terms of the current partners?
Like all partners on our site, Forbidden Story, we've done that project, but other partners, I guess they will continue the work and they will continue to publish story on the Amazons. On our side, we will continue on the environment, like study. Most probably we're going to continue talking about the environment and journalists being killed because of that.
That's fantastic. I mean, the thing that made me want to do the presentation, want to do the whole festival last year, was the thing that you put, the speech from Sean that you put in that little film at the top of your website. You know, he was killed because he wanted to tell this story. We will tell this story, and you can kill the messenger, but you can't kill the message. So that's what made me want to do this, and it's just so beautiful that we've got this. We've got we've got a group of people who are really carrying on looking at this, and we're going to start meeting again on Mondays in September to continue. Anybody else got a quick question? Put your virtual hand up. We can take maybe one question before we go on to the film, or anybody who wants to tell them how brilliant they are. That would be another thing to say. Okay, Janet.
Yeah, that was absolutely impressive what you've just told us there, and I'm so pleased to meet you. That's all I'll say at the moment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We are pleased to meet
Yeah.
all of you.